All right. So we're working with reduce, and I like to think about reduce in terms of we kind of talked about like how each is kind of like the basis of enumerables, like how pretty much everything can be done with dot each. And yes, true. But I think that reduce gives us reduce slash inject. Nope, that is yeah. Inject. Like these are synonyms in terms of like they both do the same thing, much like the same way. Map and collect are the same. Find and delect, find and detect, and find all and select. They're synonyms. Like different languages call it a different thing, and it doesn't matter which one you use. For some strange reason, I started when I learned how to use reduce. I use reduce, and then for some reason I switched to inject, and then I'm back at reduce now. Um, Unclear. And the more I think of it, I think I like to think of it as inject, as in we are taking a thing and we're putting something inside. And so, how I like to describe reduce slash inject is that it's um, a builder numeral. Is that it takes something and keeps adding more and more stuff to it. And I'll give you kind of an example here. Let's say we have this array, Alice, Bob, Eve, right? And we wanted to get an array of all these uppercase, right? We'd do array.map. Right? And it would give us this array with Alice all in caps, Bob all in caps, and Eve all in caps. Reduce works in a very similar way. And if I wanted to do this with reduce, it would be more complicated. And I'll show it would be more complicated, but like the true power of reduce is when we start doing things in a doing more complicated things that maybe perhaps our standard numerals aren't really made up for. And so if I want to do the same thing in with reduce, it would look like this. Will look like this. And essentially what's happening is that we have two variables in the two block parameters. And the idea is that this array here, so actually let me call this, let me rename this to a container. So we're like super clear where it is. This container is something that the body of the enumerable is going to do something to this container. And what happens is that the next time around, when we're iterating through, the container becomes the return value of the block previously. So that's a little complex. So let's kind of visualize with a chart. Right, and then we're going to do array.reduce. And what I'm doing here in this block of code is essentially I'm replicating sum, the sum enumerable, the sum method, right? And so this is how we. I'm gonna sound like like a boomer, but I'm gonna be like, this is how we used to do it back in the day before we had sum. Like I said, I think I've mentioned to you before, sum is a relatively new thing. Um, in the past 2-3 years, that's been a thing. And this is how we used to do it. And how, let me make this chart here. We're going to have the total, the value of the total, Actually, let's do time through. Thorough, not thorough. Through. Time through is like at which iteration we're currently in the in this loop. Like one's going to be like the first time we go through, two's going to be the second time we go through, and whatnot. Total is going to be the collector. Return is going to be the return value of the block, and num is going to be like which item we're on, right? So the first time through this, time through. That makes more sense. Yeah. The first time through, total is going to be 0 because the first time through, whatever this is, we'll take the value of whatever is passed in as an argument to the reduce method. Let me switch these around. And the first time through, what does num equal? You can all just take yourselves off mute. Like let's have there's few enough of you that we can just have a normal conversation about this. So what is num the first time through? One. Yep, it's 1, right? Because it's the first one in that array, and the return value is going to be 0 plus 1. And the return value of the first time through is going to be 1. So the second time through this iteration, this series iteration here, total when we start is going to be 1 because it was the return value the last time through, the return value of the block the last time through. Right now we're going to be at number 2. The num is going to be 2 because that's the second time. And when we add that 1, we're doing num plus the total, so the return value is going to be 3. And the third time through, total is going to be 3. The number we're on is going to be 3. And this time, the return value is going to be 6 because 3 plus 3 equals 6. And we go again. We're going to be the fourth time through. The total is going to be 6 because that was the return value from last time. Num is going to be 4. And the return value is going to be 10. We go back around the fifth time through. The total is going to be 10. The number is going to be 5. We're adding that. And the return value is going to be 15. This is the last time we're going through this because we've run out of things in that collection array. So the final return value of the block is going to be whatever the whole thing spits out. So this will return this entire method here. This bit of code here will return us 15, like the sum. Any questions about like what we kind of did here?
So if you don't pass an argument, it'll only do it 4 times?
No, what's going to happen, I think this is what happens if, actually, I'm not sure. If you don't pass, ooh, no, I didn't want to do that.
I think zero's
zero.
like a placeholder.
Yeah.
Zero's like a placeholder for like, if you don't have a number in one of those elements, it replaces that as 0, I think.
I think it initializes as that default value. So if you do on that first iteration, our total is 0 in that chart because we put that 0 in. If we didn't have that 0 in, it would be nil, and then you get an error probably.
Yes, but like I'm just verifying. I'm just verifying because I'm not sure like what happens. Like I've never done it without the argument because I figure like, oh, this is what I do. I put the starting value in here.
I think without an argument, 1 is total and num is 2.
Right. I think 0 acts as a placeholder if there were a nil value. Oh. Well, wait.
No, yeah. I spelled things wrong.
Oh, damn.
It does work.
Oh, it does.
So what we can do?
Try putting a non-integer in one of the elements.
What I want now? No, that'll work. That will fail because I think what will happen is that it'll try to add it and it'll be like you can't add those things together. But what we can do? Actually, we can do a. We're gonna find out require try. Right, we can just go in and find out what it does. Let me delete the other stuff so we don't get anything.
Oh, I think 0 is like if your array doesn't have anything in it, then you get back 0 rather than an error.
So let's see what total is. Total is 0. But let's see if that holds true every single time if we do different things to it. What if an array was?
Do an empty array.
No, what I want to do is, whoops. What if we were to do a string? Oh, actually, yeah, we did. I left this here by accident, so. Of course, it was 0 because we put something there. But let's run it again. And 1. So what happens? So here's the idea: is it smart enough? Let's throw a 3 there, right? Stop. All right. What do we think? What do we think here?
It's gonna be 3.
You think it's gonna be 3? Do we think it's gonna be 1 still? Do you think it's gonna be 0? Like, I honestly am unsure. Like the idea is that what's happening under the hood? Is Ruby smart enough to figure out it should be a 1 or whatever? Let's take a look. 3.
What is num?
Should be 3 as well. 2.
It skips one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I
Well,
see.
that's interesting. That's super interesting.
It's like it's shifting because it doesn't have a starting place of 0.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think without the argument, total is the first element in the array and num is the second. And it does the same thing. It just doesn't start as 0.
Yeah. So this is like, so for this instance, like this particular kind of scenario, like that works, right? But like, what if we go to that first one we did here? What if we do, actually it would still work. If we do Alice, Eve, like this should still work. It should still be, no, actually, I want to do that. So this gets tricky is if I want to upcase it, right? I would do,
And then would you add that to total?
yes, if I wanted it to work, I would do,
Total is an empty array.
no, because what I'd do is I'd have an empty array. I want to shovel in this, right? That should give me the return value that should be that array. And this should work.
But if total is the container, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
total, yeah.
But total becomes whatever the return value of the block was last time. This should still work. Let's
Give it a go. Send it.
send it. No.
No block.
Did I
given.
miss? No block on line 4.
No block.
What if, am I missing why you don't put total instead of that empty array?
Oh, because I figured, because the thing is, I guess I'm looking at what, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's see what it says.
Maybe because total is not defined as an array, so it can't.
Yeah.
It's
No,
adding
but
it.
it says no block given in each. So like, what does it mean no block given? Let's do, just to narrow things down. I just didn't like doing the puts like that. But let me,
So it skipped Alice by not upcasing it.
So what eliminated our our error? The no.
I did the puts. I took the puts out. I set it to a variable and puts out the variable instead. The puts didn't like that multi-line syntax.
Okay.
So that makes me curious. What if I do total here like this? No, not total. What am I doing? So we expect that total should be Alice, right? And so, but because Alice is in whatever's done this, it looks like it's already just gone through and put Alice as the first one regardless,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's kind of stored that in there. And then that means that if total's here, total shall, yeah, we're not actually doing anything to the first one. First one automatically, the first thing automatically becomes the collector.
So would you put an array, empty array, in the
Yeah.
argument for
Mhm.
reduce?
Yeah, so I think the lesson here is that always put something in here. It'll just make your life easier than figure out like the weirdness.
But do you not need to put total at the under the after the upcase
It
statement?
depends. I like to always put a total down here because I want to be very specific about what I'm returning. But the
Right.
thing is that when you do a shovel operation like this,
Mhm.
it's going to return the entire collection back, and that becomes the
Okay.
total next time around. But there are situations, and I'm going to show you another situation where that doesn't true. Like so far, we've added numbers together. We've built an array essentially. We can also build hashes. Let me add some more name.
That's probably where most of us would like to see that, since it would be.
The first
Uh,
block variable or total, it's not necessarily a collector. It's because we're explicitly calling it a collector, like when we make it an empty array or something.
Mm.
Is that right? Or else it just becomes the first.
It's how I always refer to the whatever value we pass in through. I like to call it a collector. There's probably a better word for it. I just think that like calling a collector really kind of explains what it does.
Okay. But it defaults to whatever we pass in as an argument.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, like this is why I'll always pass an argument like this, because and this will work, you know, that works as well. And I always want to do this because then I'm perfectly sure I don't have to do this go down this explanation like how does this work, like just pass it in, have it do the thing. It's fine.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
that
sorry?
thing that I did today
Uh-huh.
in our class where we were doing that, like, so in those parens where you have hash dot,
Uh-huh.
hash dot new, you can throw in that hash dot new with the curly brace
Mhm.
and do the pipes H comma K, and then H with the square bracket K equals an empty array, and then end it with the curly brackets. You can actually put that in as the argument.
Yeah.
For new.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that now because I don't want to I want to focus on what reduce does rather than setting like hash defaults.
Well, that's what I was just saying that that also we found worked with reduce.
Okay, so what we can do here is that we can take total. Let's say we wanted to make kind of sort this stuff out by by the first initial. So we do total name 0 equals name, and this is an instance where we want to do the explicit return, definitely, because like this will not return, like the thing we have on line 5 will not do will not return the entire collection. And we can see here that we've done the thing. Other things like we are not like this is we can use reduce this fashion to literally build out any kind of collection of things we want. Like we've done numbers with some, we've done array with like we kind of duplicated map. We can also we've done something with hashes here. We can also play with strings.
Mike, a quick question. So when you have total and then hash, the name, for the first letter, if you had another person with the name of Bob or Alice, would that just rewrite the key value pair?
Mhm.
So how would you try to add that in that same loop if you wanted to add a secondary?
What I would do is that you'd have to do some funny stuff with conditionals to check if this is the first time that we've gone through or not.
Okay.
If it's the first time if it is the first time we've gone through, then we create an array with that one item in it. If it is not the first time we've gone through, it's been created already, then we just shovel that in.
Okay, that makes sense.
We could do something like this to well, actually, this is a situation I'll work without the explicit return. And here, what we're going to do is grab the initials, and we can build a string in this fashion. That's about, like, those are pretty much all the major data types. And so usually when we get to complex stuff that we're trying to build collections of things in an interesting manner, you could use reduced instead to avoid the each pattern that we've kind of talked about. However, I would warn you that, like, I think that a thing that people who are familiar, like people who just learn reduce, try to use reduce to do everything, and that is not the best thing to do. If there is a purpose-made enumerable to do the thing you're looking for to do, use that enumerable instead of reduce. It'll be much more efficient. It'll run faster. Reduce is like you got to do something weird that isn't necessarily covered by an existing enumerable.
Would you use reduce for Boolean ever?
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd probably use a conditional. Like, it's just like, because Boolean's just the two states, it's like,
Fair enough.
I guess like,
If it's stored in an object that has maybe a lot of different.
I mean, I think potentially perhaps a situation where like all none or one doesn't fit, but like maybe a more than 5, you need to make a more than 5. You could potentially do that. But I think that's just overcomplicating things. I think just doing a standard loop would probably be a little more straightforward. Like, you could, the idea is that you could make reduce do anything. It's just that the problem is that should you? Like honestly, you could use reduce to flatten. I've seen that was a mind exercise that I was taught once. It's like, yeah, you could, but don't.
I got a question, Mike.
Yeah.
And if this is outside the scope of what we were going to talk about today, then just let me know. But I've seen it do like used for like basic math, but it's more of a shorthand. So if an array was just numbers, I've seen it do like array dot reduce parentheses colon plus sign.
Yep, that's a different syntax.
Okay.
If you want to look into that, look into procs, PROC.
Yeah, like that's exactly where I saw it. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. I just never use it. I mean, like I read about procs once, and like it's a tool people use, and I understand it when I see it, but I guess I don't know. I guess it's like one of those things I never used and never got in the habit of using, and therefore I don't use it.
So procs aren't used often in your experience, or lambdas used often?
I think that I just don't use them because I think that they are a little more complex than they need to be. And like, I think that like seeing just, I don't know, it's just not my personal style. And I don't think it's important for you to learn because like,
fair enough.
You know, you see the proc, like you understand it. You'll see it doing map, like you understand it, right? It's like, did you really win anything by using a proc? In like 95%, in 95% of the thing, like I just feel like use the simplest solution as long as you know there are no other trade-offs.
That's the thing, is that for most situations, I've not seen a good implementation of proc except for shorthand with math. So if you're like using reduce or inject to add or subtract or whatever.
Yeah, or I guess factorial I think would be another use for it.
Yeah.
Right, but like it's like I think they're 100% there's appropriate times to use that, but it's also like I don't. It like I said, it's not my first reach. I would rather just not spend the mental power to just like do it that way. I'll just do it like using a simple map, and people look at that, people are like, okay, I get what's going on, and we're done with it. Like I don't think it's worth a discuss. I don't think that, like from a technical standpoint, I don't think it's worth a discussion with someone else about it. I'm like, I'm just gonna do the thing, and like whatever's done's done.
Cool.
As long as it works. Yeah. But yeah, it's relatively a more advanced topic. I just, like I said, it's not something I ever felt like I needed to really get good at. And you may use it in your career, you may not. Who knows?
Thank you.
No problem. That's it for Reduce. Enjoy your project work time for the afternoon. I think Tim will be posting a thread for attendance in a little bit. Toodles, and I'll get this up on YouTube.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Mike.
Appreciate it.